Welcome to our webcast today on using TimeControl, SharePoint, and Microsoft Project Desktop to create a collaborative project management environment. My name is Chris Vandersloos. I'm the president of HMS Software. HMS has been around since the mid-80s. We've specialized in enterprise timesheet systems and enterprise project management systems since our inception. In the mid-90s, HMS Software became an independent software vendor, publishing our own timesheet system, TimeControl. And TimeControl is our flagship product, which links both finance and project management together through the timesheet. When we talk about timesheets, we have to talk about what kind of timesheets do you mean. The most common kind of timesheet would typically be time and attendance. Time and attendance tracks were you here, were you not. For wage employees, perhaps what time did you arrive and what time did you leave. But the interest in these timesheets is for human resources and for payroll. Second most popular kind of timesheet would have to be time and billing, typically used for professionals like lawyers or consultants or accountants, where we're tracking for a client how many hours were billed to that client or to that project, so that we can justify our invoice later. These systems are typically strong on rates and on a narrative to explain why we spent the time that we did. In the project management business, we talk about time with respect to the original plan. We say, well, we had a plan, we had an original budget. How much time did we spend on each of those tasks or each of those elements of the plan, and what's left to complete? And for a wide range of good governance issues now, there are reasons to have a timesheet. Compliance timesheets for Sarbanes-Oxley, for the Defense Contract Audit Agency, for European work rules, or for just good business sense are required for a whole range of reasons. The idea of time control is to have a single timesheet system be able to serve all of those needs at the same time. Time control can be used for time and attendance, for billing, for project tracking, as well as for a wide range of compliance requirements. All out of a single interface, a single database, but perhaps with different faces and different looks or requirements for different kinds of users. Well, here's a challenge that we get here at HMS Software on a regular basis. An organization says we're using Microsoft Project Desktop to track our projects, to plan our projects. We like the way that it works. We know that there are some 30 million users of Project Desktop out there. It's one of the most popular desktop-based project management tools. And the organization says, and we've taken Microsoft's SharePoint system to use for our collaboration platform, for our collaboration environment. We'd like to be able to pull these together to make a collaborative project management environment, but there's a missing gap, something that we just don't have when we combine those two. And that missing gap is time. There's no timesheet without going to the full EPM project server environment from Microsoft to be able to integrate these tools together. Well, Time Control already has a link for Microsoft Project. It has had since Time Control was originally published back in the mid-90s. Time Control has been one of the longest standing linked products to Microsoft Project Desktop since its inception. It's true that Time Control has a link to Project Server, but it has maintained its link to Project Desktop. And when SharePoint 2002 was first launched, Time Control was immediately made available to be implemented inside of the SharePoint interface. So Time Control can become the single integration point between a SharePoint environment and a Project Desktop environment. The architecture of Time Control 6, our most current version, was designed with SharePoint in mind. Time Control comes with its own interface, but users can optionally install the Time Control interface directly inside of a SharePoint worksite. And because Time Control is already integrated with Microsoft Project Desktop, either standard or professional, we can have an environment where users could use SharePoint for issue tracking, for team building or team communications, for creating high-level tasks or visibility or business intelligence to the organization. It could use Microsoft Project to be able to do scheduling and then track those tasks in Time Control, even having the results from Time Control be used in SharePoint as a SQL services report or Excel services report or a or a business intelligence view directly inside SharePoint. Okay, let's take a look at how this might look using SharePoint 2010, Microsoft Project Professional 2010, and TimeControl 6. SharePoint 2010 gives us a number of tools that allow us to integrate SharePoint, Microsoft Project Desktop, and TimeControl to help create your own integrated environment. Mostly those who know SharePoint know that we can create lists of tasks and lists of outstanding issues, lists of documents for our project management purposes. But in SharePoint 2010, we can also make project management tasks that can be linked directly to Microsoft Project Desktop. I've created a small list called Project Management Office to be able to create a list of tasks that we'll use for selecting the EPM system for our new Project Management Office. You can see that there's a new Gantt chart view in SharePoint 2010 that shows us the schedule of these tasks in a pleasant to look at Gantt chart. And we can add tasks and move these tasks back and forth directly on the screen. But there's also a button that allows us to open the schedule in Microsoft Project. When we click on this, Microsoft Project attempts to open it directly in Project Desktop, and it will bring that data in right from SharePoint and load it right into our full desktop view. The system syncs, brings in whatever information, and if we just zoom out a little bit, we'll be able to see there's the same data we just saw a moment ago in SharePoint, but now it's in Project Server, or in Project Desktop. So we haven't used Project Server, we've used just the desktop version and SharePoint. And if we now save that file, we're going to call it EPM PMO, then we've saved this information, these 5 tasks, in our MPP file. Well, we can close that down and move over to TimeControl. This is TimeControl now running inside SharePoint. And if I go into SharePoint, I can create a TimeControl. There are instructions for creating the implementation of TimeControl right within SharePoint, so that we haven't moved into any other kind of interface that people may not be familiar with. Here I've logged in as Joe Gardner, who is a full administrator, so he's seen all of the functionality. Joe can go into the tables, and we've created an entry for this EPM PMO project. You can see that we have certain information in there, and we have a link in that project directly to the file that we just saved. Now that file started off as a list of SharePoint tasks loaded into Microsoft Project, saved, and now available in TimeControl. When Joe goes into his timesheet, and we'll just create a new timesheet for Joe, then he can use this information to create his own update to those tasks with the hours that we might want for each of those tasks. So for Joe, we'll create a brand new timesheet. We can copy from an old task or use other elements from TimeControl's data. But in our case, we'll start with something blank. We'll insert a brand new line, and we'll choose our EPM PMO project. There it is. And the tasks that we select, that's the description for the project. And then the tasks that we select will be the same tasks that we just saw in SharePoint. And there they are. These are just as they were in project. We'll take the proof of concept and put in our hours for a total of 40 hours. And let me just save that line. We have a few extra fields which we can remove to clean up our timesheet a little bit. And we get an easy to look at timesheet with our hours for that task. Joe has done work now on the EPM PMO project on task number 1, proof of concept. This information starts from SharePoint, goes to Project Desktop, to TimeControl, and if you wish, right back to Project Desktop to be able to do your updates. This is one great way of having information start from one system and end up in your TimeControl system for accounting or R&D tracking, and yet able to use the easy-to-use SharePoint interface for updating your tasks. Okay, let's wrap up. So what we looked at is information starting from SharePoint moving to Microsoft Project Desktop, and from Microsoft Project Desktop to TimeControl. That's one way to integrate these three tools, but doesn't need to be the only way. Because TimeControl can bring in information from multiple sources, you might choose to have information start from Microsoft Project and then move from there to SharePoint as a list or as a view and to TimeControl. Or integrate data directly as a list from SharePoint into TimeControl and do updates from Project to TimeControl at a more detailed level. You have numerous ways to be able to integrate these products together, but they are being used by many clients right now together as a collaborative project management environment. When you deploy TimeControl, you no longer are stuck with just having time and attendance and just having a plan. You're able to say, where were our hours spent? And that makes organizations efficient no matter which way you turn. In today's economy, in today's business environment, it's important to know what it costs to get things done. And when you can track your labor down to the task or down to the area where work is being spent, you can make better business decisions. When data like that comes from a single data source, such as in TimeControl, you can create business intelligence views, dashboard views, or reporting views that let you make good business decisions on where to invest your time and where to invest your people. Aside from the interface we've just shown you, TimeControl is also available on a mobile device. You can do your timesheet or your approvals directly on your BlackBerry or your iPhone, your Windows 7 mobile device or Android phone, being able to update information and see the status of timesheets no matter where you are. TimeControl has a range of key features, and we'd be delighted to have you come by the timecontrol.com site to try TimeControl for free on our hosted environment, or to take a look at more information in our brochures and fact sheets. TimeControl has numerous links to external systems. We are a Microsoft partner, an Oracle partner, a Deltek partner. We have links to project management tools in all three of those areas, including Microsoft Project and Project Server, Oracle Primavera, and Deltek's OpenPlan and Cobra. We've been linked with ERP systems such as SAP and Dynamics, to name but a few, as well as services such as ADP. You may recognize some of our clients or even your own organization or people you do business with amongst our many clients. TimeControl is in use all over the world in a wide range of industries, from defense to bioresearch to R&D to manufacturing. And we'd be delighted to tell you more about our clients, or come by the TimeControl website to look at our testimonials and some of the case studies. We also have representatives of TimeControl all over the world. From South Africa to our headquarters in Canada, to Australia, to Asia, to the United States, we have people who are subject matter experts in both timesheets and project management, as well as ERP systems, so that you can get the best local information available. And TimeControl is also available in multiple languages, so that you can have each user see the interface in the language that's most comfortable to them. If you'd like to find out more about TimeControl, please come by the timecontrol.com website. If you'd like to see more about how TimeControl links with SharePoint and Project, then take a look at our SharePoint Project Solution Portal. There's a number of solution portals on that area where you might see other combinations of products that have been used with TimeControl to be able to make an efficient project management or timesheeting environment. Thanks very much for your time.